Information is observable through the senses, which communicate through the peripheral nervous system to the central nervous system, which communicates to the brain. The brain processes information so that that information can be comprehended. There is information we can perceive through thought, which is not readily observable by the senses, such as very big and very small collections of information. And we can figure out how that information works at such a radical size. The physical reality we live in is made of information. Information is made of base units called bytes. All things can decompose and be composed, including information contrary to belief. Therefore, the bytes which make up information can be abstracted, which means that they decompose beyond mental comprehension at a radically small size, or that they can be composed at such a radically big size that they are beyond mental comprehension. Comprehension is defined as the capacity to interpret an amount of information through some form of conscious or semi-conscious mental operation, which at some level can be observed physically, but maybe not be physically observable by humans relative to the actual physical operations between cells, and the size of this communication chemically. Information is believed to be conserved, but I am assuming that it is constant in its maximum and minimum capacities in our comprehensible reality. But it comes in and out of our reality kind of like a recyclable flow, so that while our reality contains the same amount of information, always new information is coming in and out of our observed reality constantly. We can only comprehend or observe something if it exists as the type of information which our brains can process through very small physical actions known commonly as thoughts, which in the physical action of comprehension can occur either consciously or semi-consciously as chemical interactions between cells. There is some matter which does not exist as information and is therefore unobservable. As information is translated to another system beyond our limited spectrum of humanly comprehensible information, the laws of physics are created into and decomposed from our comprehensible reality to that other spectrum of comprehension, which is basically a system of information beyond our reality or a different range of understanding. The translation of this information into another range of understanding affects the observableness of matter information in the assumption that the mind cannot comprehend that matter information or its relations in completeness to our observable reality, because the matter information is at such a radically large or small size in part or in whole, in that it has been completely or partially translated to smaller units or larger units, which means that the matter information is either too small or too big to be physically processed by a cell the size of a human neuron, or a system as large and complex as the human nervous system. This is exhibited by the effects of seemingly random physical forces acting in deep space, either at a quantum level or at an astrological level in physics. At a very small size, matter which is in the process of decomposing would show small force fluctuations which would interact with partially or fully decomposed forces which we can't comprehend except through secondary evidence or not at all. These fluctuations of forces would take a form as in which we might see a gravitational field that isn't relative to observable matter to observe particles or bytes like an accelerator. At a very big size, however, matter which is in the process of composing would show large force fluctuations, which would act using forces which we can't comprehend because those forces would cover so much area that we can't compute that area. We might see this, for instance, in a telescope as secondary evidence like dark matter's gravitational pull. All of the laws of physics which govern information are logical, and they are logical in that they compose and decompose in the form of Occam's razor, in that they follow the physical or logical, and that logical and physical in this sense are inseparable terms. Course of action, or the most efficient course of action, which is the action which has the least resistance physically. The law of efficiency would be exemplified in that a river, which is made of information, matter, and therefore is also a data stream or flow of bytes in linear correlation, would not flow through a brick wall, but around the brick wall because less effort is being used, therefore making the physical course of action which the matter or water follows optimal or most efficient, the same as the data stream which is inseparable from the actuality of the river or any matter, for example. Thus, information is matter and matter is information. Like the two sides of a coin, the same is true that unless acted upon by a stronger force, the river would not flow backwards. Logic is efficient action and is actually what bytes are made of physically. And so as bytes translate to other ranges of understanding, the logic which governs the actions of those bytes is translated through composing or decomposing into that other range of understanding which we as humans cannot process. As logic becomes illogical, new logic is created as information entering our observable system, which is observed on an astrological level very big, like through a telescope. As information is created or destroyed, it begins to follow partial laws of our observable system of physics. So we might observe on a quantum or an astrological level a form of gravity or inertia which seems to act independent of other physical laws or matter, but is in fact operating with laws of physics which don't operate in our range of understanding, but are operating together, but we can't see the physical behaviors which operate outside our system because they are not informatic operations. So this would be exemplified in that we might observe gravitational pulls which seem like they shouldn't exist because while this partial matter exists with a counterpart, we can only observe the physical laws and physical matter operating in our system of observational physical laws, and we might even see some physical force without the presence of observable matter, even though not the force or forces are observable to us except in a partial or not at all.